can't stop the noise.
So yesterday, I started my day at the gym, saw my friends with my gym community. I went for coffee with one of them. Then I had a manicure and a pedicure. Then I got a massage. And then I finished my day with another friend, for an evening kind of walk and talk. Is this a self-care day? What classifies self-care, or what is classified as self-care? And that's the question we seek to answer in this video today. So with that, welcome to the Ultimate Feminism Toolkit Self-Care Edition. Most of us will agree that self-care is important. I, for one, am a big advocate of self-care. However, I have noticed that the word is getting thrown around a lot, and I don't know when we're actually practicing self-care versus using the word to defend some of our behaviors. So let me illustrate. Let's say we are going through a breakup, and our response for healing to that breakup is to go out with our friends and party and dance and be drinking and all that kind of stuff. Is that self-care? Another example is, let's say we need something for work, new shoes, and we're on a limited budget, but we end up splurging because these shoes are just super cute and, self-care, right? Is that self-care? And then what about if we're feeling super anxious? We have a presentation for school, we might be feeling super anxious, and we call in sick to kind of manage this anxiety. Is that self-care? And so when we look at some of these things, we're starting to see that fine line between self-care versus self-harm. And so in this video, we explore guidelines to kind of help us see what that fine line is and hopefully err and lean on the side of self-care. So keep watching to learn more. So what does self-care mean? I like to start all of our workshops with a definition so I know we're speaking the same language. So all of the participants came up with their definition of self-care, and they had 4 examples of what self-care looks like in their life. They couldn't say self-care is caring for oneself. I wanted them to kind of dig deeper. We're trying to grow here, and so what does self-care mean to them, and what does it look like in their lives? What we did see was keywords for self-care definition is recharging and relaxing and feeling at ease. But those words mean different things for different people. Somebody that likes moving or running is going to use that as an outlet for self-care, whereas somebody that's not into that, it could stress them out. So we did learn that self-care by definition is just very personal to ourselves. So after we worked on our own definitions, we looked at a more formal definition and kind of scrutinized a little bit and played with it a little bit to really understand what this true nature of self-care is. And so this definition, self-care is safeguarding. I really like that word. Safeguarding or protecting, I guess, one's physical, emotional, and spiritual health. This can be achieved by assessing our own needs, strengths, and shortcomings, and then incorporating strategies to ensure optimal health and performance. So that's a lot, but it's kind of clear, and I think the best way to demonstrate this definition and how to apply it in your own life is to use an example. So I'm going to illustrate using an earlier example. Let's take the breakup example. And so I'm going to use myself, my own personal experience to kind of walk through that and using the definition that I shared. And we can determine what is self-care practices versus maybe ways that I would prefer to self-harm. So if I'm going through a breakup, I'm going to start with assessing what my physical, emotional, and spiritual needs are. And so they're all affected during a breakup. So physically, I might be crying a lot. I might not be eating. I might not be be sleeping. I might be distracted, like just not coping very well. Then emotionally, I'm going to be feeling all my feelings. There's going to be rage, there's going to be sadness, there's going to be disappointment, there's going to be desperation. I mean, it's not fun to go through a breakup. And then spiritually, I always end up feeling like less than. So I know that I'm going to go through some way of feeling less than, that I wasn't good enough, I wasn't worthy of a partner. These things aren't true, but they all kind of kick in when we're kind of in crisis mode. So they're my needs, and that's what I need to kind of get back in alignment and safeguard and like recharge. So knowing that, what are my strengths and like maybe where are my shortcomings to use, so I can identify them to know what strategies I have available as well. So the strengths that I have are, I live near a beach and I find it very therapeutic to be like outside and near the ocean. I live in sunny temperatures. Again, I like being outside. I like moving my body. I have a strong support community. I have my work. So I have a place to like share all of these things with you. And what else? I guess that's what leads my strengths. And so if I look at that, then I also know, cool, the beach is available. Can I do meditation at the beach? Can I use a walking meditation? I like moving my body. Can I create a mantra that's going to help with my low self-worth? Can I listen to a sleeping meditation so I make sure I get my sleep? Can I agree to just cry and like maybe I'm going to cry 10 minutes a day, but if that's part of my self-care, it's part of my self-care. And so I know previous breakups too, I've always survived, and maybe I have in the past went out with the girlfriends and did kind of the party thing, and that's not going to be good for my healing. I know that now. Maybe I didn't know that when I used to do it, but now when we know better, we can do better. So that is not going to be, to me, I know that going out with my girlfriends and kind of escaping in this party scene is really just escaping the problem. But if I walk through the problem and I use my strengths, I'm aware of my needs, and I am willing, because I'm worth it, to practice some things, I'm going to get through this, healing a lot quicker. So that's what I would do. Take a minute and pause and think about what you would do. And take into consideration different barriers. You might not live by the beach. There might be certain financial constraints. There might be, I don't know, just different barriers that are going to prevent you from using the same strategies that I would use. And some of these barriers are just kind of out of our control. Again, using the weather, you can't control if it's going to be rainy or not. So take those into consideration. But this also makes us mindful of why self-care is so individual. Like what works for me might not work for you, but there are definite strategies for self-care versus self-harm. So I have 3 questions that I'm going to give you that you can use to pause and to think when you're facing a need for recharge. And this recharge could be for a variety of reasons. These questions apply to all situations, whether it's going through a breakup, it's working too much, it's not sleeping, it's stress, but whatever we're facing that's triggering us to need some self-care, take these 3 questions, and hopefully this helps, and this will gear you more towards actual self-care practices as opposed to the self-harming practices. So the first question, ask yourself, what physical, emotional, and spiritual needs do I need to have met right now in this moment? The second question is, what strategies can I use? What strategies do I have at my fingertips that I know that worked in the past that will give me like optimal health and performance? So for me, I know that meditation works. That gets me grounded, and that kind of empowers me to get through things. So for me, that's self-care. So look at your strengths, look at what works for you, look at what helped you in the past, and see if that's a good recharge tool for you to use. And And the third question is, what's stopping you from taking care of yourself? We might know what our needs are, we might have a strategy, but if we're not implementing it, it's not gonna help us. And there's all sorts of things that might be getting in our way. Some of it might just be unrealistic strategy. You know, if you live in a place that rains all the time and you say, oh, I'm gonna go for a run every morning, but you don't wanna run in the rain, you're setting yourself up to fail. So assess what's stopping you and how can you, is it possible to remove these barriers, or are they things that are out of your control? For me, self-care is a daily practice. I can say this now, I can't say this when I was in my 20s, when I was in my 30s. I have definitely strengthened my practice probably within like the last 3 years. So I do know that it takes a lot of work. I do know that it's powerful and important though, because self-care for me directly relates to my self-worth. When I make time for myself to care for myself, I'm saying I'm worth it and I'm worth doing this for myself now. So I'm going to leave you with some challenges to help you build your self-care routine. So hopefully it does become a daily practice if it's not right now. So challenge 1, I want you to think about what your ideal self-care routine would be. This doesn't mean you have to do it yet. This just means in a perfect world, what would your day look like if you incorporated your ideal self-care practices? And again, they're going to be different for everybody, but common ones that I hear a lot, people want to take their makeup off and have an evening, wash their face routine. Some people want to get up earlier. Some people want to eat breakfast. Some people want to add more exercise, better time management, to add meditation. So your goals are going to be unique to you, or your self-care practices are going to be unique to you. But if you had a magic wand, what would your self-care practices look like in your day-to-day? Challenge 2 is thinking about your self-worth. What are you willing to do for your self-care to show you're worth it? And this doesn't have to be extreme. If you want to add more exercise, can you take a 10-minute walk at lunch? If you want to start meditating, can you meditate 1 minute a day? If you want to get up earlier, can you start with 5 minutes earlier a day? So think about what you're willing to do for you to implement some self-care practices. And challenge 3, it's to do it. Commit to this. I'm asking you to commit. I'm challenging you to commit to 7 days. Show yourself your worth committing to 7 days of self-care routines. And then check in with us. We really want to hear how you're doing. I am really passionate about self-care. I'm really passionate about establishing routines. Like I said, I've been a work in progress, but I got to a point where I'm very proud of my self-care. I've got to a point where I wake up at the same time every day. I practice the same morning ritual. I've added yoga to my practice. I've added different evening walks. I have a gym routine. I have a skincare routine. I do massages, back to the start of the video. Yes, that is considered self-care for me. Getting manicures and pedicures. So it's taking care of my body so I can perform in optimal health. I want my physical, emotional, spiritual health to be healthy and have a healthy well-being. So I'm passionate about this. If you would like any support, I would love to coach you through it. All you have to do is message me and I will get you started on your complimentary 30-minute coaching session. I hope you enjoyed our video. Thank you for watching and we'll see you next time.